Now, speaking of message gears, we actually have a fantastic speaker coming up, Elizabeth Weddle, Message Gears Director of Product Marketing. So everybody please welcome Elizabeth.
Good morning, almost afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Weddle. I am the head of product marketing at Message Gears, and today I'm delighted to talk to you a little bit about how brands like yours have used Message Gears and Movable Ink to find more efficiency in their tech stack. I'm not sure I can live up to what was promised here on untangling the entire thing, but my hope is that you leave a little more empowered to get out of the mess you might feel like you're living day to day. Before I give a presentation, I always want to make sure that I know my audience. So as I was reflecting on today's event, I started wondering why some of you may have gotten into marketing in the first place. I'm a marketer myself, so I had some hunches. But as any good marketer would do, I went to ChatGPT to validate my ideas. And I asked, why get into enterprise B2C marketing? I relate with a lot of these. We want to make an impact. We want to be data-driven. We want to be strategic and get recognized for our work, of course. Unfortunately, as we've talked about this week, the day in the life of being an enterprise marketer is often much less glamorous. You may be dealing with data silos, messy MarTech stacks, maybe even internal politics. And if you ever feel like this after a long day of working with your tools, I think you know by now that you are not alone. So again, I'm hoping that in the next 15 minutes you can feel a little more empowered to work more efficiently and effectively with your teams and tools and processes. So today we'll cover the status quo for marketers, which I think we're all very familiar with. A quick look at how we got here, how did things get so complicated? And then I'll give you 3 actionable strategies that you can take back to your teams and hopefully start working a little more efficiently. And then we'll look at a couple case studies of how brands like yours have used Message Gears and Movable Ink to scale personalization. So Message Gears is a data activation and engagement platform. That means that we enable enterprises to use all of their internal enterprise data to activate across channels like email, SMS, mobile, and of course, third-party endpoints like Google, Meta, and Movable Ink. Unlike every other SaaS customer engagement tool, ESP, and Marketing Cloud, Message Gears was founded with a singular purpose. And that was to enable enterprises to access their data right where it lives in their internal data platform without ever moving, syncing, or copying it, to give enterprises a way to work more efficiently. This approach eliminates a lot of the challenges we've talked about this week: data latency, maintaining and building data pipelines, significant costs associated with storing your data in a third-party ESP, CDP, or Marketing Cloud. Enterprises like Home Depot, Best Buy, Chewy, who we heard from yesterday, Expedia, and Rakuten use Message Gears to activate customer engagement at scale across channels. Because we work with the world's biggest brands, we know that the stakes are higher for you. Your customers demand perfection, and they expect you to get their message right on every channel at the right time. In fact, research shows that 32% of consumers will actually stop doing business with your brand after just one negative experience. We as consumers are pretty unforgiving. So this is obvious. We've heard it for 10 years now. You probably first saw this slide on a screen literally 10 years ago at a conference like this. So why did I put it up? Because as we know, it's still so hard. And when we talk to brands, when we really start digging in with their data teams, their IT teams, their marketing teams, there's one theme that we commonly uncover. We find that while both IT and marketing are involved in managing and activating their customer data, those teams have very different views of the world. So quick by a show of hands, how many of your brands have invested in an internal data warehouse like Snowflake, Amazon, Redshift, Google BigQuery? And it's okay if you don't know. All right, now keep your hands up if you as a marketing team feel like you're able to use all of that data to personalize at scale across channels. Oh, okay, a hand up, impressive, good job. Not many of you, and therein lies the problem. If marketers and IT teams are working from disparate views of data, if they're working from different sources of truth, that means marketing teams are forced to take a small, tiny segment of what they know about their customer and force it into small, predefined schemas in a third-party SaaS solution. Meanwhile, IT become the people that just fulfill your requests. You put in a ticket for IT, they're gonna send you a piece of data just to maintain your messy MarTech stack. This lack of alignment causes massive frustration and friction within organizations. Getting a campaign out the door takes an army. And your IT and marketing teams don't have shared goals, they're not aligned on the same business outcomes. And a lot of marketers build their campaigns through the lens of what your tech stack can do instead of the business outcome that you look to achieve. Maybe it feels like your vendor adopted a pay-to-play model when you weren't paying attention. And as you scale personalization, the data you need is hard to access and even harder to use. And while CDPs promise to solve all of your data problems, they often leave marketers wanting more. In fact, even though it's estimated that 60% of enterprise brands have invested in a customer data platform, only 10% of those brands feel that it meets their current needs. And what's more, only 1% of those brands feel that it will meet their needs in the future. This makes buying a customer data platform a very risky decision for an enterprise. So how did it become so hard and so complicated to make decisions to help your business work more effectively? Let's just take a quick look. Of course, over time, we needed to use more and more data about our customers. And that data became increasingly complex. We have opt-ins, compliance, cookies, everything to manage to make sure that we're making the right decisions about our customers. Our customers want to be touched across multiple channels, but only the right channels and only at the right time. And centralizing your data in a modern data warehouse has really taken off over the last few years. And with all of these trends over that same time, getting campaigns out the door has only gotten harder. Let's look at some opportunities we had along the way, right? There's been promises of marketing clouds being simple and sophisticated and turnkey, and we all felt like, okay, we're gonna get it now, right? Like this is our chance to make things simple. But then as those marketing clouds couldn't keep up with the influx of data, the complexity of data, CDPs came on the scene. They said, okay, here's your central source of truth, we've got you, right? And we are all at this conference because we do feel like AI could change the way that we work, and it's very promising to do just that. But why are we still working with spreadsheets to get audiences into our ESP, our CDP, our marketing tools? It is 2024, and we believe there's a better way. We've heard in previous sessions from a lot of you about your daily life and how much effort it takes to get a sophisticated campaign out the door. This specific example was inspired by a customer of ours who told us about her process prior to working with MessageGears. This was her status quo in just getting a sometimes basic campaign out the door. She had to involve multiple teams, multiple systems, and after hitting roadblock after roadblock, she could hit send on her dream campaign 6 weeks later. It doesn't have to be this hard. So imagine having an idea, going from idea to execution in less than a week, in not having to involve your IT and your data team in multiple tools and systems to do that. We believe there's a better way. So you may not have heard of MessageGears before yesterday's session where Chewy mentioned us, or before this year's Movable Inc., but you've certainly heard of our customers. We work with the world's biggest brands, sending millions of messages for them monthly across the channels we all know. Real brands achieving real results with MessageGears. So if all of this efficiency and goal hitting and performance sounds too good to be true, that's okay. I promised I'd leave you with 3 actionable things I think each of you can go back and start doing to work more efficiently at your organizations. The first recommendation is the hardest and biggest mountain to move, but I would encourage each of you to stop thinking of your tools as the save-the-day solution. Think of them as tools, and encourage your teams to build a strong foundation for those tools to sit on top of. All the brands you saw a few slides ago have gone all in because they were fed up of creating workarounds just to get basic things done. So they've gone all in on creating a central source of truth for their customer engagement platforms. And this means centralizing and owning your data in a modern data environment and using that data environment to execute everything at scale. Ask the leaders in your organization, in IT and marketing, about their plans to centralize and own your data. And if your marketing team isn't involved in the decision criteria and selection of these tools, you are missing an opportunity to be future-proofed and ready for what's coming next. This approach is simply more flexible, more secure, and more efficient than the old way of working. Secondly, I want to ask you to raise the expectations of the vendors you work with. Now, you're in good company today with Movable Inc. and all of the other vendors in this room, but I just want you to really think about this. You should seriously love working with your vendors. Remember, they work for you, so ask them to help you dig in and solve the really messy and hard problems. At MessageGears, we've worked with Best Buy for many years, helping them scale their customer engagement, and there's no way they would have been able to achieve this type of 60% in MarTech savings cost, the type of engagement results they've achieved without a dedicated partnership approach. And lastly, you need to get closer to the teams responsible for your customer data. I'm happy to hear over a lot of conversations this week that a lot of you are already doing this. We have marketing and data teams sitting together under one roof. If you're pretty comfortable kind of keeping your distance from talking about data, I would encourage you to get a little bit uncomfortable. Modern data clouds like Snowflake, BigQuery, Redshift used to be things only data and IT teams talked about. Again, if your marketing team isn't participating in these decisions, it's time to start doing that. It's not just better technology that makes a better tech stack. It's getting close and building that partnership across teams that can enable you to do these hard things. Go back to your company and find out how you can start building those better relationships. Investing in a strong foundation is more than just investing in better tools. It can help campaigns get out the door in days instead of weeks. We're talking about better flexibility and security. Marketers that are self-sufficient, you can have data visualization right on top of your warehouse. You can send it anywhere you need to go. And those complex use cases that maybe have sat on the shelf, think about leveraging all of the enterprise data that your data team has and using that to power any idea that you have. This is what's possible with that strong marketing and data foundation. So let's take a look at how brands can use this direct data access from MessageGears coupled with the power of Movable Inc. to do some really great things. I'll talk first about a brand of ours, Sherwin-Williams, and when they came to us, they were probably where many of you were when you started on your journey of early days of one-to-one personalization. What they're hoping to do is use MessageGears Direct Access and Movable Inc. to scale that. And so the first concept that they were able to launch was to engage customers with polling right out of their emails, to gather more first-party information to inform their strategy, and of course, create more real-time experiences. And in an effort to convert online shoppers to in-store customers, they used Movable Inc.'s map block in order to use an IP address or other behavioral data in their warehouse to surface that map to try to encourage their online visitors to convert to in-store shoppers. I love this quote from Susan at Sherwin-Williams because she's just reflecting on how before her team took this approach, she felt pretty uncomfortable talking to her data team. But after they invested, after they had shared goals and shared outcomes, they were actually able to communicate and she felt like she was more effective at her day job. The next example is another customer we've worked with for a long time, Chick-fil-A. And when they were looking to scale their loyalty program, they wanted to get really creative and incentivize their customers in real time for reaching that next loyalty tier. So what they did is by actually asking customers to sign up for their loyalty program as they grow their points, after an on-site purchase, at the time of purchase when that receipt hits their inbox, Chick-fil-A is asking MessageGears how many loyalty points do they have. On that receipt, order confirmation in store, it says, congratulations, you've reached red status. Do you want a free treat today? Instantly rewarding that customer for their behavior and incentivizing them to be a more loyal customer. This wouldn't have been possible without MessageGears and Movable Inc. So what does all of this mean for you? If you struggle with any of the challenges that I talked about today, I'd encourage you to take these 3 things back to your teams. Find out where you are on your data transformation journey to eliminate workarounds and achieve bigger results. So with those 3 things in mind, I'd like to ask you to stop settling for that status quo. I want you to get back to the part of marketing that got you here in the first place, the strategy, the data-driven decision-making, the getting recognized for your work, the being customer-obsessed and revenue-obsessed and results-driven. I firmly believe that with the right tech, with the right partners and the right team, it's definitely possible. So again, the MessageGears team would love to chat with you about any of this. If you have any of these challenges today. We're around. Most of us are wearing blue shirts. And you can also scan this if you just want to connect and learn more after the show. Thanks for coming, and take care.